Welcome to H2K Infosys. H2K Infosys is a e-verify business based in Atlanta, Georgia, United States. We provide 100% job-oriented, instructor-led, face-to-face, true live online software training programs. It also includes access to Cloud Test Lab with software tools. We provide live project for you to work on. We also provide assistance with mock interviews, resume preparation and review, and job placement assistance. H2K Infosys is trusted by so many students across the world. H2K Infosys provides world-class services in IT training with real-time project work for corporates and individuals, special IT training for MS students in the United States, software design, development, QA manual and automation, performance testing and maintenance, IT staff augmentation, job placement assistance, and tech support.
And the pattern syntax will follow like this. The C options, percentage options, percentage D, percentage T, percentage T, percentage P, percentage M, percentage N, like this. C means class name, D means date, T means thread which has executed that particular line, P means log level, M means message, N means separator corresponding to the environment. So based on your requirement, you can just make use of any of these options. There are plenty other options also. You can just take a look at the API and identify the list of them. L, line number. So based on your requirement, you can select any of these patterns and you can display the message. But one thing is important, which is M. By using M only, it will display the message, the logging message to the file or console. Currently, we have mentioned about appenders, layouts, layout which in turn contains patterns. So to configure all this information, you just need to write one file, log4j.properties file or log4j.xml file. It's not required to use the log4j as the name of your file, but it is a preferred one. So you have two options to configure your properties. Either you can go for log4j.properties or else you can go for log4j.xml. And whatever the properties that you have specified within your log4j framework, within your properties or XML file, your log4j framework will read all the properties and it will constitute the objects that are required for printing your log messages to the console or file. So whatever the properties that we are going to specify, either you're going to use the appender console file, JDBC or JMS, or the patterns, you're going for conversion pattern, or whether the pattern that you want to specify. You are going to specify those things within your log4j.properties or XML file, and you are going to load this only once. So you just need to start your configuring the properties only once, and the same will be used by all of your logging framework, all of the classes from your logging framework. So that means when you're writing the application server project or the web project, you need to configure the logging only once, nothing but. Where exactly we are supposed to configure? When we want to configure a property only once, where exactly we are supposed to configure within our web project? Anyone? Yep. We are supposed to configure that within our listener class. Our listener class will be called only once. So if you have configured only, if you are supposed to configure only once, and within our web project, we'll choose our listener class, because our listener class will be loaded during the application deployment. Let me take a look at the PPT if I have missed any points. So the configuration of logging framework, currently we have mentioned by using log4j.properties or log4j.xml. So there are three types of configuring our log4j framework. The first one is basic configurator, and the second one is property configurator, and the third one is DOM configurator. I guess you should be able to understand based on the names itself. Property configurator is used to configure from properties file, and DOM configurator is used to configure from XML. And basic configurator, if you are not interested, let's say you are writing some development code, and if you are not interested to write a properties or XML file, there is a basic configurator that was available from your log4j framework itself. So it won't make use of, it won't require any of properties or XML configuration, and it knows some default options like console appender and conversion pattern. It will use, and it will directly display the log messages. So when we are in the development mode, and if it's not required for us to configure each and every time, and you can just go for basic configurator, and the configuration will be done automatically by your log4j framework. So let us take a look at one example by using basic configurator, then we'll go for the other two options. Basic configurator example. So before that, we need to configure our log4j within our project. So that means you just need to go to the location and download the jar file first. So here you can see that Apache log4j 1.2.16 version was available. Just download the zip file. Once you have downloaded the zip file, extract it. Once you have extracted, you can see that there is a jar file within your extracted folder. You can just take this one jar file, log4j, it requires only one jar file to be available in build path. Configure build path, add external jars. I'm at the same location, click on that, put the jar file within your build path. This is a core Java project, so it's not required for me to place in the runtime level. So now to configure within my main method, so I can just make use of the basic configurator class. And after that, you just need to call a method configure. So when you call basic configurator.configure, log4j understands that you are not going to provide any properties or XML file, and it was supposed to use the default configuration properties for logging the messages. And once after that, you need to create your logger object. To create a logger object, you need to call getLogger method, and you need to specify the class name. The class instance you are supposed to specify actual name. So basic configurator example dot. You can see that there is a static instance called class. Just pass that as a reference to your getLogger method. And it's not required for us to have a logger object for logger instance for each and every client request. You can just you can just specify that it is a static instance so that the same object will be shared between all the client requests. Ultimately, the logger object will be used to log the messages only. So you can just make use of a single instance, and the purpose of using the getLogger method is instead of creating a new instance for each and every request, for each and every logger request, it will verify are there any instances that got created based on this particular class file. If at all, if there is an instance available based on this class file, then it won't create a new instance and it will return the same instance to you. If you go to normal logging example, let us say I'm creating one more instance here. Static logger object, logger dot. So currently I'm writing from normal logging example class dot class file. So when you write within your normal logging example and you are going to create one more instance, but this time it will verify is there any logger instance available by using normal logging example class. Currently this is the first time. Then it will create a new instance and provide it to you. But if already an instance was available for your logger with basic configurator example, then it won't make use of the same, and it will be based on the class name that we are going to pass as a parameter to your getLogger method. But subsequent client requests, it will see that the logger object was already available for basic configurator example class, and it will be going to return the same instance for subsequent calls. So your logger instance, even though if you are creating on your own, but it will be maintained by the Log4j framework, and your instance will be per class level only. We'll take a look at that question, Vijay, once after the class. Yeah, it would be good if we make it as a static because we don't need the instance object to be created. If we make it as a normal instance, then it will be like for each and every client request. But it would be good if we directly make it as a static instance. So now basic configurator.configure, you have configured the properties, and now once after that, within your logger method, logger object, you can see that there are several options available. The first one is debug, error, fatal, info, and warn. So these are the log level messages. So based on that, let us say I'm using debug level. Debug level messages printing. So in the same way, write all the level methods. So let us say this is info level. Let us say this is warn level. Let us say this is error level. Now let us go and execute the code. currently it has printed all the messages. We haven't specified any log level also what kind of log messages are displayed, because we are not taking any control on preparing the properties for log4j. So with root logger, with default logger nothing but currently the logging operation, we are asking the log4j framework to provide one. So the log4j framework has used console appender and then a layout conversion pattern. It has followed like, you can say this 0, nothing but elapsed time, how many milliseconds. This will be displayed in milliseconds. And once after that, the thread, it was specified with brackets, and also next one log level, and the next one the fully qualified class name with an hyphen symbol. It has displayed the message. So it has used a pattern called %L, I guess, this one %T, this one %P, and this one %C, and hyphen %M it has followed. So all the messages that will be going to display with your log level, with your basic configurator, it will be in the same format. But if you want to get some other format, let us say you want to display the date, or let us say you want to display the line number at which the log message was generating. So if you want some kind of enhanced features, then you can go for any kind of those two options, like log4j.properties or log4j.xml file. But by using basic configurator, it will display the data or the messages in this format only. Let us go for the next level. Create one more class, properties configurator example. So properties configurator will be configured by using a class called property configurator. And here also you need to call the configure method, and you need to specify the name of the file. The file needs to be available in the class path, or else this will throw file not found exception. See, you're calling property configure of log4j.properties. Internally, this configure method will read the file, whatever that you have specified, and it will make use of the property class, and it will load the properties into the memory by using the property object. And once after that, let us take all these messages. I don't want to write one more time. So here you need to create a logger instance as well. We don't want basic configurator, we want properties configurator. Let us go and run the file without the file. Currently the log4j.properties file was not available within my project itself. So you can see that java.io.file not found exception log4j.properties. So here property configurator is calling doConfigure method, and doConfigure internally calling file input stream, and file input stream called open method, and the file was not able to locate on the class path. That's the reason it was giving an error. Now create a file, create a properties file. Log4j. One point with respect to basic configuration. Whenever we are writing the logging information, here logger.debug or info or warn or error, we have mentioned that it has used the console appender and conversion pattern, and also it has used debug mode as log level. So now we are trying to write our own patterns or appenders or log levels. But ultimately, this is just like an inheritance structure. On the top, it will follow the root logger. Root logger will consist of certain information like console appender and conversion pattern and also log level. Now within your properties or XML file, you are going to write all the child level loggers. So that means you can avoid, see, just now only we have mentioned that this is just like the inheritance structure. So that means if you are not interested to write some of the stuff, let us say you are not interested to write the log level. You want to use debug mode only for your logging mechanism. So in this case, for your child logger, it's not required for you to specify that I want to use the log level debug. It can get the log level from your root logger itself. Not only this particular property, it can get any of the properties that are available with respect to your log level, with respect to your root logger. So currently, if you're writing the log4j.properties file, you need to write the console and appender details and also your layout pattern details within your properties file. I have already written one properties configuration. Forget about the first line. We'll discuss that one in a minute. So all the log4j properties, normally the properties will be specified as name equal to value pair. When you specify hash, those are just like the comments within your file. And once after that, if you want to go for your own properties configuration, currently you just need to specify one appender for that and also one layout for that. So for log4j is the startup. For each and every property, it will start with log4j. And once after that, you need to specify the name for your appender. So currently, my appender name is A1. log4j.appender.A1. You need to specify what kind of appender that you want to use. Currently, I want to use console appender. And you need to specify the fully qualified class name as your appender. And appender consists of a layout. A layout also, you just need to specify what kind of a layout that you want to follow. So appender.a1.layout. Here I am following pattern layout. Once you have specified the class name, during the execution, it will make use of pattern layout class and it will display the data by using pattern layout. And the next one, conversion pattern, that will be available inside the layout. And currently I'm following %-4L, L nothing but line number, and %D nothing but date, and %T nothing but thread, and the thread was specified within the brackets, and also %P nothing but log level, %C nothing but class name, %M nothing but my message, and in between these two I'm displaying a hyphen as well. And also %N within Windows, N refers to line separator, nothing but /N. You can write any number of appenders and layouts within your log4j configuration. So currently I have written one appender and one conversion pattern related to A1 object. Now I'm going to create one more appender. So here I have created one more appender B1, and this B1 I have taken this as rolling file appender. And also layout, I'm making use of the same layout, which is nothing but pattern layout, and I haven't changed the conversion pattern as well. But here, rolling file appender means we are specified about size details. So you can specify some kind of extra information as well, like appender dot b1 dot maximum file size is 3 KB. So that means once after 3 KB has reached to your file, if the file of the size of the file is 3 KB, then it will create a new file. So currently you are going to write to a file, so you need to specify the file name as well, log4j.appender.b1.file of log slash nothing but it will create a folder log, and then it will create the name of the file as h2k.log. The last one, maximum backup index, nothing but, see currently it was creating the files, so until how many number of files you want to create. So currently up to 260 files, it will make use of the rolling file appender, and once after that it will purge the last files, or it will override the last file, and it won't create more than 260 files. So maximum backup index, nothing but how many number of files that you want to rotate. And finally, you need to specify that what kind of appenders you want to use. So what are all your child appenders? Those will be specified by using a property called root logger. You are supposed to associate all your child appenders or layouts. Appender internally consists of layout. So you can just specify all your appenders to your root logger. Currently, I have specified the first property as debug, which is nothing but log level, and once after that your appender details. Currently I have associated only A1 appender, and I'm not going to associate B1. We'll see how to associate the B1 appender layout. But when I have appended A1 appender to my root logger, so currently you can see that I didn't specify the log level here. It will use the root level logger, which is debug, and it will make use of the appender that you have specified here, and it will display the messages based on A1 appender. But when you have associated B1 also here, just like this, then the logging framework will make use of these two appenders. The first one will send the messages to the console, while at the same time, the second one will send the messages to the log file. So you have the option of specifying multiple destinations, so that if you want to work with respect to console and file, you can just follow multiple destinations level and display the data. There are certain classes that are available within your basic configurator, and you can just make use of that and change the properties. Now execute this one with the log4j.properties. So currently you can see that the data has displayed 16. The first one is milliseconds, and here you can see that 4 spaces are available. How it got 4 spaces? We have mentioned that -4 option. So this the number of spaces required. And after that, %d, nothing but date to be displayed. And the next one, %t within your thread, main thread, and %-5p debug level, and %c your total class name, and with a hyphen it has displayed the message. So by changing the conversion pattern, you can just change how to display these levels or methods. Let us change this level to info level. L means, I guess, line number only. Yeah, capital L means line number. So currently you can see that even though debug message was available within my file, To my console, I got only 3 messages which are related to info, warn, and error. The reason for that is I have mentioned that I want to display the messages related to info level or above only. Then it will make use of that particular level and it won't display the messages that are available below info level. If you change to warn, now it will avoid displaying the info messages as well. So you can see that now it has displayed only warning and error messages. Let us go back to log4j properties and add B1 appender. Oh yeah, kind of. Let me open our project. Okay, March workspace, log4j project. So here this will create the log file. Let me write it back to debug level. So now if I execute this one, you can see that it has displayed 4 messages. It has created the log folder and it has written h2k.log and it has written the file details. Let us execute one more time. You can see that the error log messages that are added or appended to the existing log file, if at all, if the file was available already. So that means you are not going to lose the log messages, whatever that was previously written. Let us write the log messages in a loop. Int I equal to 0, I less than 1000, I plus plus. Logger dot info level, loop level, info messages, printing. Yeah, you can verify those options later by checking the API. Let us execute this one now. So now you can see that currently I have specified that the log4j.property size as only 3 KB just for our verification. You can see that the file size has created with 3 KB, and once after 3 KB has filled, it has rolled out to a new log file, and our last log file will consist of our startup messages. So here you can see that first time we have printed only these messages, and after that we have started writing the next level messages. So here you can see that these many log files that got created based on our rolling file appender and maximum and the size of the file. If I change this to, let us say I change this to 20 only. Let me delete all the files. Currently it has created almost 40 files. Let me delete all the 40. I specify the maximum backup index as 20. So you can see that it has created only 20 files, and once after the 20 files creation has completed, it will just override the last one and it won't create more than 20 within your directory structure. So if you have a size constraint, for the files that needs to be created, and you will go for this particular option. Normally this file size will be around 200 MB or 300 MB, and they'll just move to some other file because nobody wants the file size to be more than 300 or 400 MB.
So many of our students have given testimonials on how our training programs are. You will find them on kudzu.com and on our website h2kinfosys.com. On our website h2kinfosys.com, you will also find more detailed information on who we are, the courses that we offer, what each course covers. Also, if you're interested in a demo program, please register on our homepage on the left-hand side. Just give us more information about yourself and we will send you a link for a demo class. The demo class is absolutely free. Experience our commitment by just attending an orientation workshop at no cost. Our team of faculty and advisors are here to guide you with the right information. If you still have more questions, please feel free to call us. Call us at 770-777-1269. This is a United States number. If you're calling from the UK, call us at 020-337-17615. You can also email us at training@h2kinfosys.com or h2kinfosys@gmail.com. Thank you for watching our videos. We wish you a great career in information technology.